So, it's the early 2000s and you pop in a DVD to your DVD player. Before the movie starts, that infamous ad kicks in. You wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal a purse. The pounding techno, the flashing lights, as you think to yourself, well, if I could download a car, I probably would do it. But here's the twist in that story. The music in that advertisement was stolen. The composer wrote it for a small film festival for one use only. And also, years later, it turns out that the font might have also been stolen. And instead, it ended up on hundreds of thousands of DVDs worldwide. No permission, no pay, and after years in court, he finally got a payout of 165,000 euros. So, the ad shaming audiences for theft of intellectual property was built on theft. The irony is not lost on us, but of course, except now, that story is practically the business model of an entire industry. AI companies are doing the same thing, only scaled up beyond imagination. They're scraping millions of books, songs, images, and articles without permission, without payment, and feeding them into billion-dollar large language systems in order to sell it back to us as a premium. And now this week, the Productivity Commission, under pressure from big tech, is floating changes to copyright law in this country, which is including a proposal to let tech companies simply just use copyrighted material to train AI for free. My name is Josh, and here for Michael West Media and the Soundcheck, let's get into it. Now, you might have seen this guy pop up on the news lately. This is Atlassian co-founder Scott Farquhar, who's a lobbyist for big tech essentially. He appeared on the ABC's 7:30 and he was urging Australia to embrace the opportunities of AI in the government's upcoming Productivity Commission. His pitch was reforms to copyright law that would let tech firms mine creative works and train AI models on Australian content without permission or payment. Now, if this is really about the public good, they would be asking for medical patents from private companies so that life-saving medicines could be made cheaper. Silicon Valley keeps its data locked up while our songs, images, and culture are scraped and sold. Public creativity, but private profit. Now, Scott is no longer CEO of Atlassian, but he still has a 20% stake in the company.
At the moment, all AI usage of mining or searching or going across data is probably illegal under Australian law, and I think that hurts a lot of investment of these companies in Australia.
So basically, the law is working to protect its copyright owners. But Farquhar wants an exemption, so these firms can use creative works without permission and, more importantly, without payment. Asked why should artists accept that, he argued,
If you use AI to copy an artist directly and create a song in their style, that's probably not fair use. I do think people would say that, hey, if people are going to sit down with a digital companion, an AI song creator, and they collaboratively work with an AI to create something new to the world, that's probably fair use.
Well, the problem with this is that before anyone collaborates, the model has already been trained on millions of works scraped without consent or payment. Farquhar frames this as innovation, a disruptive technology. But what he's really asking is just for legal permission to turn intellectual property into the asset of corporate giants. AI isn't actually a money printer. These models cost billions of dollars in research and development, as well as upkeep costs and data centers which can be obsolete in 3 to 5 years. Even OpenAI is losing money on its $200 ChatGPT Pro subscription. As Farquhar told 7:30, he thinks governments should fund new data centers at the public cost for a private global tech giant. We can't even keep our current tech giants paying their fair share of tax. What do you think they would do with our intellectual property? Now look, we've reported on this so many times at Michael West Media. Google funnels its money offshore. Clearview AI steals your facial data off Meta's platforms and gets away with it with a wrist slap. And Atlassian settled a $92 million tax office dispute while shifting earnings abroad, which resulted them in agreeing to keep their intellectual property in Australia. Based on precedent, we can't even trust these companies to do the correct thing. We already subsidise them enough through our tax system and government handouts, and now they want our intellectual property for free. The thing is that they use our roads, infrastructure, internet, they use our power already, and when they're offshoring profits like this, the Australian citizens don't see the benefit. Now, the risk of this is a massive rug pull at the end of the day. AI companies are propped up by private equity and investors. They blitz scale like Uber and Airbnb to hook users with free access to their services, and then they hike their fees or cut services in order to make a profit. OpenAI is already eyeing a $44 a month package as their baseline, which is double the cost of what they launched it at. What begins as the public good ends in private luxury. They socialize the costs, but they privatize the profits. Now look, obviously artists aren't sitting quietly while their work is strip-mined. Musicians, writers, photographers, creatives are mobilising. Mr. Higgins and Peter Garrett have come out saying that copyright laws should not be rewritten just to pad multinational profits. So industry groups are mobilising. The MEAA, which is the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance, has launched its Stop AI Theft campaign, while APRA AMCOS revealed that 82% of Australian songwriters fear that AI will gut their income, with up to $520 million in revenue at risk. ARIA has warned that copyright is the foundation of Australia's creative economy and must not be gutted to give foreign tech companies a free ride. This is bigger than just musicians, right? It's about survival of intellectual property. The creatives are the canary in the coal mine, per se. Now, us here at Michael West Media, we have to compete with AI models that output millions of stories a day. Journalists now have to compete with AI that is trained on their own work. News Corp has rolled out News GPT, while the ABC is building an AI assistant to summarise archives and streamline reporting. Now, all of these tools aren't a terrible thing. AI could be a very, very handy tool in the future for a lot of these industries. But the problem is people trying to take intellectual property for free while then selling you back an alternative at a high premium. Like, what baker gets his flour for free to then sell bread? So, regulation. What can possibly be done here? Regulation of this industry is one of the only protections a government can offer its citizens against private interests. It's the same reason seatbelts were made mandatory in cars. The same principle applies here. Government could require consent and compensation for the use of creative work in AI training. They could introduce something like collective licensing, like we currently do for music royalties if your song is played on YouTube or the radio. It ensures that the creators that made the art possible get their fair cut. Now, forcing AI firms to disclose their training data sets would also expose the scale of the problem, and right now it's mostly hidden. Ironically, we can't peek at their own intellectual property. But then there's also the public pressure that you can apply as a citizen. If consumers refuse to accept tools built on stolen creativity, companies will be forced to change tact. Now, this doesn't mean cut out AI altogether. I think it's inevitable the way things are going, but it's your choice to ethically consume a product that you think is harmful. Now look, can you name a single industry that gets its ingredients for its product for free? Well, the gas industry lobby, but we've already done plenty of stories on that, and check it out on the website. Right? The conclusion here is that AI isn't free. It runs on stolen creativity, extracted without consent or payment. Artists are the first casualties, but not the last. Teachers, journalists, and entire industries are all at risk. Without rules, all of these costs will hit us down the road. Higher prices, reduced access, and fading trust in a miracle built on theft. You wouldn't steal a car, so why let tech giants steal our art? Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. My name is Josh. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, you can jump over to patreon.com/thewest report to support funding this channel. If you like more of our journalism and reporting, you can also jump onto the website.